But man, there's a lot of the world that don't know about this still. And so in some ways, you're not to blame, but you are now if you don't take action.
All right, guys, welcome to the Millionaire Enlisted Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. Today we have Ellis Hammond. He's a real estate investor and founder of Kingdom Capitalists. Ellis, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. Let's tell me a little bit about yourself and dive into that, that core of your faith and how it's driven you into real estate, man.
Yeah, man. Excited to be here. It's fun to be on your show. Thanks for having me, man. And I hope that I can really serve your audience well. That's what I'm here to do. Dude, I'm a former pastor, Christian pastor, started a college ministry out in San Diego, California. I'm an East Coast Southern boy. So moved out to San Diego and really out of my comfort zone. But man, it's been such a fun 6 years. And the way I got into real estate, where we were working for this nonprofit, this ministry, and I mean the best way to say it, man, is we just got hungry to figure out better ways to create passive income and build wealth. And but I'll be honest with you, man, we had no idea what we were like. We didn't know what to do. I was a pastor. My father passed away when I was 21. I went, you don't really learn how to build wealth in college. So
someone teaches you that. Yeah.
Yeah. No one's going to teach you how to build wealth. Right. I mean, go put your money in the stock market and work a 9-to-5 job. Like, show me what those results look like. Right. But that's all that I knew. And honestly, I probably went into ministry in some component because I just didn't really even want to deal with money or deal with wealth. Wealth had such or money had such a terrible, role. Like, it played such a negative role in my life up to that point, because of just the destruction it caused between my family and relationships, as I'm sure so many can relate to. And so we just have the stigma of like money's bad or money's evil.
Yeah.
And dude, when I saw our ministry grow and there were people on our staff team that we were raising every dollar that we needed in order to fund our mission. Long story short, man, there were people on our team that were struggling to buy groceries. They couldn't even like live out the calling in which they had felt on their life, the mission for their life, because they didn't have enough capital. They didn't have enough people that were willing to donate to their cause. And that was the turning point for me. Like, dude, never again are we going to be short again in capital and wealth, and to be able to provide and give resources to those who really need it and are trying to change the world. And real estate became that vehicle for us, man.
I love that, man. And I think you bring up a good point is, growing up, a lot of us are told, hey, money is the root of evil, right? Like it's bad. Don't think about it. Just live comfortably, be content, right? But I think at some point you get that hunger to provide more, not only for yourself, but for others, those around you. And I mean, how would you tell people they could overcome that?
Yeah. I mean, think about it this way, man, because this was so life-changing for me. Your life, like, kind of mind transforming for me is, this was what was so challenging is, and especially like, man, in the world of Christianity, I think in any religion, but I mean, for sure in my own faith. So I'm just open, man. These are the things that we struggle with, and I'm here to challenge people's mindset today. We don't talk enough about stewardship. We talk a lot about stewardship in the world of faith, like being good stewards and whatever. And this idea of being a good steward of your money, man, I would say, like, when I was a pastor, I was being a really good steward, I thought, of my time. And the problem was, the reason I didn't want to be, to build capital, to create wealth, is because I had this false belief that I wasn't going to be, that I couldn't, or I wasn't a good steward of money. And so that was the first kind of transition in my mind, man, that I was a good steward, that I could be a good steward of money. But the reality is, like, if we really want to create impact, right? Like, if we really want to live our lives for a bigger purpose, if we really want to live on mission, you really should be trying to leverage both, not just your time, but also your money. And if you don't, think about it this way, if you don't have money, then you can't steward that. Like, you can't leverage that. And here's the other thing, maybe it's going to resonate with a lot of your listeners. If you don't have time, then you can't steward your time. Meaning, if you're stuck in your job and you don't have financial liberty to be able to use your time as you want, then dude, you are not being a good steward of your time. Like, you owe it to yourself, and you owe it to the world, and you owe it to your purpose to be a better steward of your time and figure out ways to create financial independence so that you can begin to steward your time in a better way. And so I hope that hits somebody today, man, because I
love that, man. And I think people need to, obviously find themselves and find that mindset where they can also say it's okay for them to look out for themselves and then find that freedom, like you're saying, and then take care of others around them.
Yeah. And let me say this too, man, because I feel like that was strong. It's really not your fault, though. It's not their fault. Like, no, we're not taught how to do this. Like, we're not taught, it's like, no, work your 9 to 5. And then, it's like, we're never taught this. And so, I mean, so proud of everyone who's listening to this show too, because like, you're taking the first step and figuring out, how do I begin to achieve kind of this independence you're talking about? And so, like, don't blame yourself. Like, no one ever taught you this. Like, good for you for listening to a show to teach you how to begin to accomplish this. And thanks for putting this podcast show on to help educate people, because, this is now more of it's a growing wave and a growing trend of real estate investing. But man, there's a lot of the world that don't know about this still. And so in some ways, you're not to blame, but you are now if you don't take action, right? Like, because and
absolutely, man. Yeah. No, I think that was great, man. So let me ask you, as far as, so you had that passion, and you went ahead, you started looking into real estate. What was your very first deal where you're like, oh wow, this might be something?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's funny, man. I don't even really like talking about real estate. I'm much more like talking about mindset. But anyway, we'll get into real estate because that's the whole point of this show, right? We did a duplex. Our first deal was a duplex here in San Diego, California, and it was, as far as a duplex goes, I mean, it was a good deal in San Diego. It was about little less than $300,000 a unit, which some people are thinking like that's crazy. But in San Diego, if you live here in San Diego, you're thinking like, man, that's a good deal, And we bought the ugliest house on the prettiest block, and pretty much, and man, we did everything. We did it all. We painted, we rehabbed, we demoed, we dug dirt, we were the landlord, and we hustled, and we actually even brought in a family investor to help us bring in some capital that we needed for the down payment. And we put that deal together. Had no idea really what we were doing. Really, the way that we found that deal, to kind of even go back, and this is a huge principle, man, is we found a mentor, someone that was in our local market, who had been doing deals, and we just built a friendship with that person, and they really helped us find a deal, kind of showed us what a good deal looked like. And we had been doing some research and trying to learn and educate ourselves on how to underwrite projects. Yeah. And so I had a decent grasp of like, okay, I don't think we're going to lose money in this deal. But I definitely also had no idea what I was doing. So without him, but that was our first deal. It was a duplex in San Diego, California, and I did really well, man.
That's scary, man. That's scary. I know that first deal is always, you see your numbers are right, or you think your numbers are right. Yeah. You're like, but what if it's not?
Oh yeah.
So it's hard, man.
It's the first thing of everything, man. Like, I just produced my first Facebook ad today, and I'm like, oh gosh, I'm so scared to hit publish because, I don't. So it's the first one's the hardest. Yeah. And I always say, man, like, analyzing real estate deals is not hard. It's just like, it takes time, it takes practice, and it takes time. And so that first one really is tough. That's why, like, man, if you're just getting started, like, the mentorship thing is so key. And it doesn't mean you have to pay for a mentor. Like, go find someone who can help you, or you can brainstorm off of. And I mean, I'm sure this community, it could be, there's some great resources inside of this community. So that was huge for us, man. So that first deal was sweet. It got us in. Realized though, we never ever wanted to do it that way again. We never ever wanted to buy a duplex, and we can get into that. But it was a great deal, and it taught us a lot, and realized we never want to do that again.
Hey man, off topic, but I got to tell you, you're killing it on that social media video game. I don't know who your video guy is and who's coming up with that stuff, but the one where you're lifting weights.
So,
And then you have one on your website where you were walking the street and you were talking about your faith and how about kingdom capitalists, and I thought that was awesome, man. I don't know who you're getting, but man, you're doing awesome stuff out there. I'm very excited to see where you're going.
I straight up hustle. Like I got 2 college students that were part of our ministry that are filming for us, and man, we just get together and the camera goes on and we're like, all right, what can we come up with? Like it really is. I mean, and we're just trying to be ourselves. We're really building. If people are interested in this video, you can go to my LinkedIn page, Kingdom Capitalist, and we have our videos on there. And, we're really building a community for Christian real estate entrepreneurs who are building a business around real estate investing. But man, like I feel like, we're trying to attract us, our community, the people who are like us, who want to have fun. And so, yeah, dude, I just try and be myself. I think from a marketing, and I think this is helpful for real estate too, for guys who are still on the active side, man, you have to be yourself. Like this space is so noisy and there's so many people trying to do this that if you like the best, and maybe I shouldn't say the best, but the easiest way to distinguish yourself and find your people is just to be yourself.
Yeah.
There's some marketing, there's some maybe ways to take that deeper, but probably the first step is like, you got to be yourself. So me, I am a Christian. It's a huge part of who I am. I was a former pastor. And now, I have a company called Kingdom Capitalist, a podcast show called Kingdom Capitalist. And we talk openly about our faith and about our journey to build wealth. And dude, that's polar. Like the Christian thing is so polarizing for people because they're like, oh, you're super Christian. I'm like, no, dude, it's just me. Like I'm just a man of faith, but it's polarizing for some people. And on the other side, the capitalism piece is polarizing. Like, why do you got to be a capitalist? Right. It's like, but guess what? There's some people, man, who just freaking love it. And that's who I'm trying to serve.
I love it, man. I think you're taking it somewhere really different because you don't find that many Christians who are 100% on the whole capitalism thing, right? So for you to kind of combine that, and we've talked about it. I mean, in our, at least, in my faith, in our faith, it's a lot of people say, money's evil, right? Or be content. That's all I've ever heard. Be content with where you are and stop chasing the money. And that means don't be capitalist. So you're kind of combining that, and that's a whole different mindset, which I love because you're creating your own niche, man. Yeah. But so mindset, right? You went ahead and you did this duplex. It took a lot of you to get through your head that, I can do this. What's the next step? Because I know you did something big after that, right?
Yeah, 9 months later, man, we did 144 units. It was a $9.5 million deal. And it honestly was easier. Like, as crazy as that sounds, it was so much easier. Because here's what I learned. Like, and I think I'm so passionate about this message is that not everybody, man, should be a real estate entrepreneur. Like, if you can crush it in your field of, in your industry, like you have a business or like, and especially like if you can double down on what you're doing and double your income, like you really should stay focused on that and then invest in real estate. Like I just really believe that because this is a business. Like, and those, you don't really do this. It's really not a good side hustle, I guess you should say, right? Like to do this right really is a business, just like anything else. And so, I learned doing the duplex, like, man, the duplex thing where we got to do everything really is, I mean, we could do 1 to 2, a couple of deals a year like that, but to scale that and to really create the type of impact, like that was never going to happen at duplex at a time. So that was the first reason why we're like, we got to go bigger. It was even why we transitioned out of our pastoral position full time, because we're like, no, man, we want to be more on the capital side. We know that if we're going to do this, we have to really start treating this like a business, But to go back to the deal, when I say it got easier, what happens, man, when you start thinking bigger and you go from 2 to 144, and this is a principle regardless, is the problems get so big, right? The barriers get so big when you start thinking big. This is why most people never think bigger than what they're too scared to think this way. The problems get so big that you no longer can accomplish them on your own, and you have to start leveraging other people.
Yep.
You have to start partnering with other people because you don't have all the answers. And so that's why it got so easy, because when we went to 144 units, I realized the only thing I have to do to close 144 units is find investors. And then I can actually go leverage the expertise of another operator who can find the deal and put the deal together and has the property management company. And together I can bring my network. Because remember, I've been raising money for 6 years. I developed a skill of asking people for money. I built a network of people who were wanting to invest with us. Dude, they were giving us money and they weren't getting a return. They were just investing in our ministry. And so now I said, hey, I actually can give you money back. Like if you give me, money. And this is fun. This is way different. And a couple of people took us up on that on our first deal. And that was really sweet and really grateful. And yeah, I mean, that was mind blowing for me, man. I didn't realize that I could take a skill set of mine, which was building a network, relationship building, asking people for money, and then actually leverage that in a business opportunity that could create cash flow, that could create wealth for my family. It was unbelievable. And that was the turning point for us, where we realized, hey, we've proven the model and this is what we want to continue to go after.
Absolutely. I just want to clarify one thing, because I know I hear people say this. You weren't just asking for money. You were telling people and showing people how they can grow their money with you, right? Because I mean, there's a difference there. And I've ran into that where people are like, "Hey, you're asking for money." I'm like, no, I'm offering you an opportunity, right? Yeah. So I think there's a way people need to understand that as well. That it's not a handout.
No, 100% not. No, I mean, definitely starts with like you. And it's just funny, man. This comes up all the time, and it really is knowing what your position of value is, and it's not asking for money. That's a great. I don't have nothing to add to that, but the reason I think I was good at that is because I was a pastor, a missionary, an evangelist for 6 years, and I showed up on the college campus every single day, and for the first 3 to 4 years of our ministry, it was like it was just straight up like, it was just like reject, almost like that season of no one really knows you yet. No one really trusts you yet. And how many times can you go to someone, introduce yourself, and then be like, I don't want to talk to you. You know what I mean? Like that was the first couple of years of our ministry, where it just took time to build credibility on a college campus and talking to 19, 20-year-olds about spirituality, and they want nothing to do with that. Right. And so, but what kept me going in that season, and this is what I learned, which was helpful in support raising, is I knew and still know that even though they weren't really interested, I had something. It's not like I was like, oh, will you please talk to me? I just need somebody to talk to. It's like, no, dude, I have something of incredible value for you that changed and transformed my life, which is my faith in Christ. And I know, man, if you would give me a couple weeks of your time to really sit down and talk through this, bro, it could change your life too. And that was the motivation of like, I can go to this person knowing that they're probably going to say, I'm not really interested, and still do that day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. And because I knew I was in a position of value. And it's the same thing in raising money.
Yeah.
You're not I love what you just said, man. You have an opportunity and to realize you are sitting in the position of value, especially right now in this economy where opportunity is low and capital is high. There is a lot more capital than there are good deals. So if you have a good deal and you are a person of integrity, dude, you have everything in your corner. And so I think I really want people to get that. And if you're a passive investor, realize like you also have value, you have capital, but there's more capital than there are good deals. And so, you should treat the people who have good deals with care and build good relationships with them so they keep coming back to you. Because I think that's important. We can go a lot of places to get capital right now. So,
I mean, it's all about relationship building, right? I mean, I can't even tell you how many people I've met in the last few months trying to network. And I mean, everyone's open-minded and everyone wants to team up and everyone wants to help. So it's amazing. It goes both ways, right? You gotta be able to be transparent and honest and have integrity.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So you had a mentor, you went into the whole syndication thing. You went in as a general partner, limited partner at first. How did you go through this?
Yeah, that deal, that was we did both. We had some money to put up alongside of our investors, which, I believe that we're going to ride together, we're going to die together type kind of, mindset. And so we were in the deal, and then we also were on the GP management side of the deal because we were, really head of investor relations, and marketing on that project. And so, we did both on that deal.
And you had a mentor?
Well, not really, man. Not then. I mean, I had my partner, and really he served as a mentor for me, and kind of, hey, this is what we're doing in this project. And, I would essentially just kind of have, any hard or complicated questions. It was like, hey, ask him, and so that was it. So kind of more of like a mentorship by fire, you might say, like.
Gotcha. Trial by fire. I hear you.
Yeah.
And then, so later on, did you not get a mentor? You stayed on your own, or?
Well, no, man, I totally believe in mentorships. I mean, then, I've hired, I pay for a lot of mentorship. I paid for a lot of masterminds, paying to go to conferences. I just totally believe in that because that's really changed my life. So I've invested in some actual official kind of, because this is a business, right? And so it's just like anything else, it's education. It's learning the ropes. It's learning the trade. And so, we took some time and invested some of our own money just to learn how to better operate deals and underwrite deals and raise capital the right way. And so, we took some time in 2019 to really do that, and really get ready for this next season of kind of building our own investment firm, and getting prepared to do that.
Yeah, I love that, man. I think. We're on the same track, and now we're getting to the mentorship part. Just because you got to take it to the next level, you got to have someone that's done it. So you got to have a coach. Yeah. I hear you, man. So as far as the way you syndicate, how do you structure your deals? How many units have you done? How where are you at right now?
Yeah, so that deal I'm telling you about was in end of 2018. We put together two deals, two actually Phoenix deals. They were about both of them were about 45 units. But none of them actually ended up. That was late 2019. Unfortunately, we didn't close on those deals. So, we're still focused on the Phoenix, Tucson market. And, part of the reason those deals fell through, man, is because the partnerships were bad. And, so I've learned a lot in that, it takes a long time to build good partners. And it's one of the reasons why I started Kingdom Capitalists, which is a mastermind community for active real estate investors, guys who are really building a business around this, because I wanted to create an ecosystem, a tribe, or really a marketplace for investors to come in and really build deep and good relationships with like-minded people that they know they could trust. And really accelerate their path forward, because that was a good thing for me. That helped me get started, but it also hurt me a little bit later too, because I didn't form good partnerships. But then secondly, it's why we started our own team, because I wanted to bring things in-house, and really be able to, I guess, kind of have control, but also have transparency in what we were doing. And control is good, because then I'm responsible. I'm accountable to the actions we take for our investors. And I think that's really, really important when you're bringing other people's money to the deal. That if, stuff hits the fan, I want to be the one to answer to that. I want to be the one who has to say, well, yeah, we screwed up. I can't, it's not like, well, kind of waiting for this guy over here to give me an answer. And, so it's why we built our community. It's why we brought this year in 2020, everything in house. To begin essentially kind of underwriting, operating our own deals. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's awesome, man. So you said Phoenix. Any other locations you're looking at, or?
Yeah, Phoenix, Kansas City. We like both of those markets a lot. And part of that is just because we have good relationships there, man. I mean, there's a lot of fundamentals there in both those markets too. which is probably what initiated both those paths. But then it was also, okay, like, if we're going to operate a deal out of San Diego, we have to have people we trust and rely on in those markets. And so we do in both those markets. There's a couple other ones too that we look at, but as far as from an underwriting perspective and making offers, it's Arizona and it's Kansas City.
Yeah, and those are high population growth areas.
Yeah,
I mean that place is growing ridiculously.
Yeah. We typically want to be in like MSAs over 1 million. We want to see good population growth, good job growth, and not just like, job growth in the sense of things are positive, but what are the big job sectors there? What's really driving the population growth? And I have some really smart people on my team, dude, like that look at a lot of this stuff and kind of analyze the numbers. And so I feel really good about both these markets that we're in for the long term.
That's awesome, man. So let me ask you this: as far as and let's take it two different directions. For a active investor, a active real estate investor, who's looking into syndication and how to get started, and I mean whether they're Christian or not, how do you see what advice would you give them to get started in this? And if they are Christian, can they just go ahead and join Kingdom Capitalists and get in there with you?
Yeah. So if they in syndication specifically, like doing some bigger stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you need to get educated. Like, this is a business and it takes some time to learn. And so, take some time to get educated, learn and there's so many good resources. Joe Fairless, his book, he has a website about apartment syndication, some excellent free resources there for you just to begin to learn the lingo and kind of figure out all the different roles that can be played inside of this business. And I think that's important. Like if we were to go start a marketing business, for example, there are different roles in that. There's a CEO, there's the accountant, there's the one who's running the ads and building the web pages. It's the same thing inside of a syndication business. Like, there is the money raiser and the guy who can underwrite the deals and the marketing team and the acquisitions person. And so learning those roles and being able to realize who are you and what are your strengths or what are your superpowers, and then really honing that in, and then finding other team members or partners that you can partner with to really kind of, hedge against your weaknesses or hedge against the things that you're not very good at. For example, I just don't like spreadsheets, man. Like it bogs me down. I like speed. I like to move fast. That's why I talk fast. I move this fast all the time, and a spreadsheet slows me down. And so when I get a deal and I'm finding deals, my thing is I find deals and I raise the capital, or I find the investing partners for us. So when we get a deal and we got to get to the underwriting, I send that to my partner or my two partners they do this all day long. And I say, please don't send this back to me until those numbers turn into words and we can talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, after that, like, don't bring this deal back to me until that spreadsheet is in verbal form and we can chat about what these numbers look like. Because it's not that I can't do it. It's not that I don't understand it. It's just like you
don't like it. Yeah.
So it's like, hey, turn this into something we can talk about, and then let's move forward. But until then, I'm going to go be on another podcast show. And I think the quicker you can realize that, man, the more successful you'll be.
You sound like my brother, man.
Yeah.
Because I like doing I don't like 100% like it, but I really enjoy cracking the puzzle. And to me, looking at a spreadsheet and seeing how I can make it work depending on interest rates and this and that. And, it's a good, IRR. It's a good, cash on.
Yeah.
To me, that excites me. I'm like, wow, I have a good deal, and
Exactly. And that doesn't make you any less valuable or that's amazing. And like, without you, your brother he'd be a terrible investor. You know what I mean? So like, or he wouldn't do enough deals. And so it's the same way. Like, especially in this market, like, we have to see a lot of deals. We have to underwrite deals, but we also have to raise money and we have to find investors. And so you really can move a lot faster with partners, because while I've been on 3 podcast shows today, my partner can underwrite all the deals that we're looking at. And, and then tonight we can come together and say, hey, where are we? What do we need to make offers on? And so I think partnerships are so for going back to your question, kind of knowing what that skill is, being able to leverage that, finding good partners is probably the best way to go.
Awesome, man. What about for passive investors? What do you suggest them?
Go to ellishammond.com/checklist. I mean, that's the thing. I got a free resource for you, man. Like that's the biggest thing as a passive investor, especially in the world of real estate investing, is there's so much you don't know. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it comes down to, like, for example, if you and I were looking at the same exact deal and you underwrote it and my guy underwrote it, it's almost impossible for you to come down to like what your projected return is going. Like it won't be the same. It's almost impossible for the projected return to be the same. And the reason that is because it really depends on the operator and the assumptions that they're making in their underwriting.
That's an art form.
Yeah. And so as a passive investor, the tough thing is you have no control over that. Like you're just going to be investing in a deal depending on whether you want to be in or not. And so you need to know what questions to ask, the checklist to go through to make sure that you feel comfortable that those who you're investing with have the capacity and the ability to execute on the assumptions that they're making. And so I created a checklist, ellishammond.com/checklist, to essentially kind of lay out, again, because I am not this way. So for me, as a passive investor, like I needed something to be like, okay, do this, do this, do this, do this, check, 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 check. It's like 40 things. And it's free. And that would be, I mean, that helped me as a passive investor, kind of knowing and being able to vet out good deals. But man, the easiest thing too is like just build good relationships with people you trust, people that will that have integrity, that have that want to be in this business for a long time, and you can do a lot of deals with them, and know that, especially people who are willing to make it right no matter what. So we have a principle within our firm, like if something goes wrong with our return, like the investors come first. Everybody understands that. Everybody's on the same page. So even in the deal where there is equity reserved for us as the managers, like that is almost like insurance for us. Meaning, if things go as according to plan, boom, we get the bonus, aka our equity. If things don't go a plan, then that bonus or that insurance makes up for anything that could go wrong in the future. And I think that's important to know as a passive investor, just being around or being invested with people who share that same mindset.
Yeah, transparency is a big deal, and honesty, right? Yeah, I agree. So moving in a little bit more on the personal side, I always like to ask people, because real estate is very time consuming. You have to be engaged all the time, and it can put a burden on your personal life if you don't know how to check it right, and you got to have that right mentality. Are you married?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You are? Happily married, 2.5 years.
Awesome, man. I'm happy to hear that. So how do you balance your work, your life, your marriage? Because I know it's not easy. I know as an investor, as someone who's trying to start their own business, it's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question, man. Cautiously, humbly, open to criticism from my wife. I think what I started doing as a pastor, like I didn't have enough time in my day to do all of this. I literally didn't. And so I added more time to my day by getting up early, and I've kept that practice. So I'm up 5 a.m. It gives me time to set goals and intentions for my day, get time to go to the gym, all the things that are kind of more personal for my health and my mind and my spirit. All that's done, dude, by 8 a.m. Right. And then I can literally grind it out as hard as I can from 8 to 5. And maybe if my wife's working late, I can go to 7, or 6. But if she's home, like I'm really trying to be done by 5. And that's kind of my thing. She actually works a couple of nights as well, so it helps. I can get some, like tonight, it's a little bit later for me. My wife's working late tonight, and so I can schedule stuff late. So now, like, we do our team meetings tonight, and so I can squeeze it in there. But I love what I do, man. So it's really easy for me to keep going, and so it's more of like I gotta check myself and be like, all right, you need some time, you got to do other things. I need a hobby. I used to surf. I really should get back more into surfing, man, but I haven't found quite enough time to get on the waves enough. So yeah, man, I actually cautiously, humbly open to criticism, trying to figure it out. But I feel like the biggest tip is waking up early really helped a lot. And and really setting boundaries in the evenings.
But the main thing is and from what I gather from there, is that you always try to make time and circle back to your family, to your wife, right? I mean, because sometimes, we're dead set on this goal of we're starting a business, and, we don't want to lose track of our families, right? Why are we, for me, that's my why, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure that's most likely for you as well. Yeah. And I think the audience needs to understand that no matter what, you can't lose sight of your why.
Yeah. I mean, it's also like, my wife and I are on the same page too, in the sense that, she knows why I work so hard, and we're in this together. And so that helps a ton, when things are tough, and I do travel a good bit. And so being on the same page there is important. But yeah, I mean, that means when I'm home or when we're together, like making the most of that time. But dude, I don't know. It's just, it's been great. Like we've really enjoyed this season, and I don't know. I feel like I'm actually home more in the season of entrepreneurship because I work a lot from home, and so we get to see each other a good bit more. Dude, I mean, I was a campus pastor for 6 years. You talk about busy, dude. I was never home. I was always on the camp. Like ministry those are like the most strung out people you've ever met in your life, because
really? Okay.
You know what I mean? Like freaking pastors, man, like they never stop. And so if you have a pastor, be grateful for them, because, they work more than anybody, and, they don't even get paid for the results. So, it's,
Yeah, I hear you, man. No, well, that's amazing advice, man, especially from someone who's doing so much and doing great stuff in the real estate world. So what are your 2020 goals? And, the hot topic right now, where do you see the market going, especially, with this coronavirus?
I'm more of a, no, I'm not going to make a stupid joke. Anyways, what are my goals? Well, we're building the premier mastermind group for, like I said, Christian real estate entrepreneurs, guys who are building a business around their investing. And our goal is to grow our community to 50 members by the end of the year. So we do like a cohort model, or like a small group model, where every quarter we kind of open up the applications and allow 12 new members to join our group. And we really like that. It really allows people to really build community while kind of having access to this larger community, this ecosystem. So Kingdom Capitalist, man, I'm really excited for where we're going with that, in the type of relationships that we've already built and the things that are happening inside our community. I mean, I see more deal flow, dude, from our mastermind than I do from brokers at this point, which is really fun. And so that's priority number one. I have a podcast show, Kingdom Capitalist. I'm trying to grow our audience to 10,000 downloads a month, just because I want to get our message out. We need people of faith, man, to really think deeply and serious about building wealth and creating capital and what we can do with that. And so growing our podcast show to that. And we'll get there. I think we'll get there. I don't quite know how to best do that, but we're creating some awesome content and episodes there. So I think we'll get there.
It'll get there, man. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then our investment firm, man, I think for us, I don't know necessarily we have a deal flow or deal number. So we just want to create a good operation, and really have something that is attractive to investors, that provides a predictable wealth building strategy for people. I don't think like we have to create the wheel here. like I think with the economy and what we've seen, as of recent, what people really need, man, to build wealth, the majority of Americans, is they need a predictable wealth building strategy, something that they can rely on month after month, quarter after quarter, year after year, and know and plan that they have somebody that is incentivized and in line with their wealth building strategy. Stock market, Wall Street, your financial advisor, unfortunately, as good as that person is, they are not aligned with your wealth strategy, right? Like, it doesn't quite matter how the stock market's doing, they're getting paid. That's why I like what you're doing, what I'm doing, and alongside of bringing other people's money in, is that we're in this together. When you do well, I do well, and vice versa. And so really trying to figure out how to best create, better create that model where we're really aligned with our investors. And so that's my goals. As far as the economy goes, dude, I mean, I'm I'm hoping that things stay good right now. I mean, there's a ton of capital in the market. Financing is as best as it's ever been. There's so many cool ways to, to kind of bridge that gap that we need to buy properties between private equity and different types of debt. So, I mean, I'm really excited about 2020 and what we think we can do, the opportunities that are out there. I think definitely the hard thing, of course, is deal flow, especially in the multifamily sector. And so, I mean, we're going pretty hard in multifamily, but who knows? Like, we might get opportunistic and go after some other asset classes inside of commercial real estate. I mean, dude, U.S. real estate is so powerful. Like, they're from a like, and I think coronavirus has shown this. Like, we are a global economy, and that also rings true inside of commercial real estate. And so there's so much money from the world outside of the U.S. trying to invest in U.S. real estate because there are negative bond yields, and out there that people have money in. And so, I mean, the delta between even the 10-year treasury right now, which is as low as it's ever been, in historical low cap rates, it's still 3% and 4%, right? And so 3% and 4%, dude, there are $1 trillion pension funds that would take 3%. So I feel really strongly about commercial real estate. I think it is an incredible asset to be in for the next, I don't know, long freaking time. And so we're really bullish on that as a whole. And I do like multifamily. I still think it's a good like I would say it this way. It's a really good asset class to already own. And so we'd like to own some more of it. So we'll see if we can find some good opportunities this year and take advantage of that alongside of our investors.
That's awesome, man. I love it. And you mentioned foreign money wanting to come in. We competed for a 50 unit, and we lost to some guys from Israel, actually. A ton of foreign money. And then we've also been approached for, hey, like, we're foreign, we want to invest from far away, can you use our money? And we're getting to the point where we're trying to figure out through syndication lawyers of, hey, how do I actually do this? What do I have to provide the government? What do I have to provide them? Because it's different than being a U.S. citizen, but you can do it. It's just you got to crack that nut, and it's problem solving, right? Something that if you're an entrepreneur, like, you see an opportunity, you're like, okay, well, I just got to figure it out.
That's fun, man. That's you. You're a problem solver. I like it. You'll figure it out.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
where do you find those? Like, how those guys come to you?
So, we've had really good success with our social media, man. We had 2 guys randomly just come from our YouTube channel, which only has right now. We started it a month ago. Only has 25 subscribers, but yet we're getting messages. Hey, I like what you're doing. Can we talk? And I'll call, and they'll be like, last week I talked to someone. He was a representative of a foreign investor. It was like, hey, like, we want to invest. We have money. Like, blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, yeah. Let me put you down on our subscriber list, our information. We'll send you stuff once we start really get rolling. And the other part is, so we were born in Colombia, South America. So we have family there.
Yeah.
And the word kind of gets run over there, and some of our family and some of family have talked about, hey, they're doing this and it's American real estate, right? Like you said, and they're interested. We have a friend that's from Canada, and Canadians love American real estate. So yeah, I mean, like you said, it's kind of like getting out there and people know what you're doing, and it's interesting. Some of my friends are like, why you post so much about what all this? And I'm like, well, that's part of the business, and
if they don't know you, they can't buy from you, bro.
Exactly. And that's what Grant Cardone says, right? Like, no one's going to invest with you if they don't know you. So, I mean, I guess it's working what we're doing.
Promote, man. I hope that when people turn on their phone, they're going to see my face. Like, there's no doubt if you're on LinkedIn, you're going to see me. Please go follow me, everybody. My hashtag is ThinkWealthy. I am putting out the most entertaining and educational content on LinkedIn right now. And then you can also see like what it looks like to promote. Like, and this is not in the sense of like, oh, invest with me. I almost never talk about investing with me. Right. But I put out enough content where it's helpful, and then people eventually will click on my page. They'll click on my page, which will lead them to an opportunity to, right now let's join our mastermind. So anyways.
I love it, man. I agree. And I'll encourage everyone, get on LinkedIn, add you as a friend, see your stuff. And one of the things I took in, I don't know if you read Hunter Thompson's book, Raising Capital, but amazing book. But he talks about that. You got to provide value first, and then people will understand that you are an honest and giving person, right?
Yeah.
So build that trust.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the business principle of the next decade is like those who are creating an educational platform alongside of their business will be those who succeed. And it's why we have the podcast show. It's why I'm on your podcast show. It's why we're creating our own content, because it's so true. Like people are looking for value and they want to do business with people they trust. And the best way to build that trust is to provide value. I mean, I almost never get on a phone call, man, and people don't already know or they haven't consumed, a few hours of my content, which makes things so much easier to do business now, because it's not trying to convince them like, hey, who are you? And should I trust you? It's like, they've listened to me hours. And so it's never a question of like, well, tell me more about yourself, Ellis. It's like, I'm always like, they're like, well, what else should I know? I'm like, you want to know anything about me? They're like, no, I know you. I'm like, really? They're like, never talked to you. Like, you know me that well. So, but I love that because I'm so forward on all my content. It's like, you really do get to know me. And I really am like this in real life. So, so anyways.
Yeah. Like you said, you got to show exactly who you are. You can't try to act like you're someone you're not. And people see that at this age. You can't fake. I don't think you can fake it till you make it anymore. I don't believe in that. Someone's gonna.
I think faking it till you make it is one of those things of like, you have to. I think the fake it till you make it thing is almost a personal thing. Like, it's really hard to fake it to other people, but you almost it goes back to that personal thing. Like, can you work and fake it, but the sense of like, you're putting in the effort knowing that you're not really there yet, but you're going to get there in the future, that you almost kind of have to act like you're already that person you're going to be in the future. Like, I think that type of faking it is actually, you really need to do that, because you need to start taking action like the man or the woman that you want to become. And so you got to do whatever it takes. And you need to fake yourself out that, hey, you are that person when you're not, in order to do those type of things, man. Then by all means, fake it till you make it.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, absolutely. I think we have all, as entrepreneurs, have done that, because we've hit that moment where we're like, and then all of a sudden we're like, you know what, man, you got it, bro.
Yeah.
You can get this. You're it.
100%. Hey, man, you got to send me this YouTube video. I'm going to cut this up. There's a lot of good quotes we've had in here, man. This is good stuff for people, man.
Yeah, I'll definitely send it to you. Brother, so let me, last thing, is where can people find you? Where can they reach you? And, what amazing message. If you have anything more to add, do you have for the people, man?
Yeah. So good, man. Thanks for doing this. I love your content. Thanks for serving your audience so well. If people are interested in my story, the best way is to go to ellishammond.com. My email is invest@ellishammond.com. I already told them about the checklist, which is ellishammond.com/checklist. And if there's some guys who are more on the active side, and you're looking for a community of like-minded folks who are serious about their walk with God, and they're building a business around investing, we open up our cohort once a quarter, and the application kind of stays open, but we really take the most qualified or the best fit of the 12 each quarter. So go to kingdomcapitalists.co, and there's an application on that page. But in the meantime, I do a podcast show every single week where we're interviewing amazing Christian entrepreneurs and business owners. And honestly, man, just asking the questions that I've always been curious about. I want to know how to grow my business. I want to know how to create more capital. I want to know, how do I overcome some of these struggles I'm facing? And what are your struggles once you get to 7 and 8 figures? And so we're talking about things like that. So it's just good, honest conversation, man. And, so if people are interested in that, it's everywhere, podcasts are, I guess. So you can go check that out. And then, of course, LinkedIn, man, linkedin.com/IN/Ellis Hammond. And my hashtag is Think Wealthy. And I would love to interact and meet your audience there. So
awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And for anyone listening out there, Ellis is a real deal, man. I know from day one I talked to you, you're like, oh yeah, I walked into a room and I was like, wow, I can raise capital. This is amazing. So the man knows what he's doing. He's there and he's getting even further. So check him out, follow his stuff. I know I do. I always have a whole bunch of people I admire and I look towards. And you're one of them, man. I love what you're doing.
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you a lot. It means a lot.
Out, brother. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review if you like the content. Thanks, guys.
5 stars. Go leave that review.
There you go.